Welcome to the HRLocker podcast. On today's episode, we're joined by Bob Casey, Senior Client Partner at Korn Ferry. Bob joins us to discuss the challenges of leadership. Having played at the highest levels of international and club rugby, Bob is vastly experienced in motivating people to get the very best out of them. Following his retirement from sport in 2012, he successfully transitioned to the corporate world, taking on the role of CEO at London Irish, before returning to Ireland in 2017 to join Korn Ferry, the world's largest organisational consulting firm. Today's show is hosted by Crystel, Head of Product Marketing and HRLocker, and she asks Bob about the skills it takes to be a great leader, on and off the pitch, and the measures executives can apply to build a better, more engaged culture.
Today on the show, we are delighted to have with us Bob Casey. Bob is a former rugby union footballer who used to play with the London Irish until his retirement at the end of the 2011-2012 season. Bob was part of the Irish team that recorded Ireland's largest win in 2000, beating the US in an amazing 83-3 result. After his retirement from play, Bob took the role of Operations Director and then the CEO at the same club until he resigned in March 2017. Bob is currently a Senior Client Partner at Korn Ferry. Korn Ferry is a global organisational consulting firm. Korn Ferry work with organisations to design their structures, roles and responsibilities. Bob now operates at senior management and board level, both in Ireland and internationally. Today we'll be interviewing Bob in regards to his transition into the business world. So we're delighted to have you here today, Bob. So thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So we'll get straight into the questions because I have a load of questions for you. So hopefully I won't take up too much of your time. Bob, obviously a lot of people would know you from the London Irish and from your rugby days. Things have changed since then. So how have you found the transition from the field to the boardroom? And was there anything that stood out for you or surprised you, I suppose, during the transition or the change in career?
Yeah, look, it's been a challenge. Like everyone who finishes one career that they've loved for 15 years, you're going into a whole new world at the age of 34, 35. So as opposed to someone starting their career when they leave university, you're actually starting your career in your mid-30s. So it's daunting, it's a challenge, and you've got to persevere and be resilient. So thankfully I was, and I got lucky. I got a couple of great opportunities. So it's gone well, but certainly the first year I was, having to adapt. It was really trying to find your purpose as well, and trying to find your motivation, because when you're part of a team, you've got a common goal, and it's weekly. You have a game weekly. So it was a challenge at the start, but I've really enjoyed it. I suppose some of the learnings have been, in terms of when you're playing professional sport, the feedback is very immediate. So, you either make the tackle or you don't, you either score the try or you don't. And it's all videoed, there's GPS, there's heart rate monitors, and it's weekly. So you're getting feedback direct and weekly, and you're giving feedback. As a captain, I was giving feedback a lot. So I suppose in the corporate world, I found it a bit different. Feedback doesn't come as often. And also I found in certain organizations I was in, people aren't as used to getting feedback as well. So how I gave feedback to people, I certainly had to adapt and change. And I suppose being 6'7" and about 20 stone, I certainly learned that it's best to give feedback sitting down. But no, there's lots of learnings, and look, thankfully I've enjoyed it along the way.
Yeah. So Bob, you mentioned there one of the things is, the feedback, and definitely, I suppose it's a different world because you're in such a close-knit team when you're in the sports world. But, what do you think would be some of the main skills that you acquired in sport and that you've really taken with you into the corporate world?
Yeah, so work ethic is the foundation of any successful career, successful person. So to be successful in rugby, certainly work ethic was huge. I think I was fascinated about Korn Ferry because it's all around people and performance. So rugby does prepare you for that, because that's what it is. It's a high performance environment with people. So you're trying to understand what makes people tick, how you can motivate them, how you can drive them on to higher levels of performance. So a lot of it is very transferable. So in my corporate role now as managing director, it's trying to understand people, what makes them tick, what's their motivation, what's their purpose, and then how can I help them achieve their purpose and achieve their goals. So that's really my role, is around supporting people. And that's as a rugby player and as a captain, that was my role. I got to make sure I'm good at the nuts and bolts and the day job, but on top of that, then making sure that you're really helping develop people. So work ethic, I think, understanding people and performance, discipline, certainly. I'm a bit of a nerd in terms of structure. So in terms of attention to detail, getting the job done, love a good action list, love a good to-do list. So I do think it prepares you well, but you certainly have to learn and adapt along the way and be open to learning along the way.
Yeah, I suppose one of the things we do here at HRLocker is that, we have really tried to learn from the way performance reviews are done within the sports world, because I do like that it's the constant feedback, which is important, because if you're getting a review once every 12 months, it's, if you've made that mistake 9 months ago, you're continuing to make that mistake.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it's one of the things that we've tried to adapt internally by having that. It doesn't have to be a formal appraisal review, but giving that constant feedback is important. And because you're trying to grow the person and make sure that they're getting the right training and make sure that they're learning and keep moving forward. So that's definitely something that I have taken from the sports world, and we try to really put it in here. But in terms of, if you were to give something of advice for kind of that C-suite team of CEOs or CFOs in regards to leadership and motivation, is it that kind of constant feedback, or what would be the areas, do you think, that you would say this is what you've learned from the professional sports world?
Well, I suppose I take the learnings from professional sport, but the learnings from the CEOs that I work with and the chairs and CPOs that I work with. I find the best leaders are very self-aware. So they understand what they're good at, but equally they understand what they're not good at, and they bring people in and they have people supporting them who can fill that gap that they don't have. So I think that's very, very much a key to being a successful leader. So being self-aware, I think giving people clarity and communicating with them regularly is really important. And then I think it's very important to create a positive environment where you've not got energy sappers or people who are being negative, because to do anything really well in life, you have to have massive levels of energy. And to have energy to really go at it every day, especially in the COVID world where you're at home and you're getting up and you're in front of a computer, you need to be happy. And so it's important that you create that environment where people have the platform to enjoy what they do, but they're clear on what they're doing and what success looks like. So that's a lot of what we see with the best leaders we work with, is around that. And they do lead by example, in terms of work ethic, but in terms of, they do what they say they're going to do as well. So they're authentic.
I think you're dead right to say in terms of the CEO or the leadership team, is that, even if we take the analogy of the sports field, you're not going to be good at every single position as much as you may think you are. I have a 6-year-old who thinks he is.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
That's reality, is that you need to understand what areas that you're good at and where you need to bring the team in to work to get success, So for those of us, I suppose, who can only take from our amateur team sports, for most of us GAA here, would you take from that framework as well and kind of bring that in, or what areas there do you think people can take?
Oh, absolutely. I was lucky. I grew up in amateur sport. I played a lot of Gaelic and hurling, and there's a real sense of community. So we're doing a lot of work with leaders around purposeful leadership. So that you have to have a purpose. So I always find amateur sport, there's a real clear purpose. You're coming together as a community to try and be successful, and it means so much to the community, your family, your friends who you live with day in, day out. So I think there's a lot to be learned around that. And also it's the enjoyment factor, like the crack you have, and the banter. That's pretty important. So there's a lot to be taken from amateur sports, yeah.
And I think especially if you're talking about the GAA, it's not like people are being transferred over to another county. It's just not done, right? So you're in it and you're working together and really trying to pull the team along.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's a good way for people to learn, even for kids and things like that. A good work ethic as well.
Absolutely.
So you're now obviously working with Korn Ferry. You're managing director there. If you were to offer organizations one piece of advice in managing their people through the current economic and obviously COVID issues and different challenges, it seems in 2020 we have different challenges every single week. What advice would you give to people?
Well, we've found that the best clients that we're working with in terms of how they've reacted to the COVID world is, they have focused on their people. So it hasn't been all about revenue and clients, and they first and foremost put their people first. So making sure they're okay, communicating with them, being flexible. So if they need to down tools, they feel like they can down tools. Is there also outside help? Is there experts that can come in and help work with people? So for example, mental health is obviously a big issue at the moment. So we found that the best organizations are really focused on their people, and it's not just talk, it's actually practical steps they're putting in place, getting experts in, giving them time off, giving them flexibility, providing support for them at home, making sure they're checking in with them regularly. Like, for example, one thing we do here at Korn Ferry is we have it in the diary for half an hour every Thursday, and it's called the chats, where it's just a reminder for each other just to ring your mobile or whatever, just ring up, how you getting on? What are you up to? How's your week going? So little things like that. But look, for us, it's all about people. And if you look after your people, your business takes care of itself then.
Yeah, I think that is key, is because unfortunately we don't know what's going on at home with people. They could have sick people at home, they could be isolating, they could be doing, there could be an array of things going on. And right now with remote working, we are in their homes. That's the reality of it, and hopefully 2021 might be a little bit different, but I don't think it's going away for the immediate future. And I think I read somewhere a while ago something like, people, your people make businesses. It's not figures that make businesses; it's people that make businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, that was really great having you, and thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Oh, pleasure.
So the best place for people to go, Korn Ferry, is the website. That's the best place if they want to learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or connect with me online or on LinkedIn. I mean, essentially what we do is we work with our clients to help synchronize their overall strategy with their people, just to improve performance. So whether that's how do you reward your people, how do you assess them, develop them, and then if needs be, how do you attract new talent? So if anyone wants to get in touch, I'm on LinkedIn or kornferry.com.
Thank you so much, Bob, and take care now.
Brilliant. Thanks, Crystel.
Thanks for listening. Check us out at HRLocker.com. The show was hosted by Crystel and produced by Jenny Martin. Subscribe to catch the latest episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you like to get your podcasts. If you'd like to feature, get in touch by emailing us at marketing@HRLocker.com. You can also follow HRLocker on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.